Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at Aviary from Bicycle Playing Cards. Every year, Bicycle does a few retail decks, usually full custom decks, and there's definitely a mixed bag as far as quality. Some of them are really boring and drab decks, some of them really amp it up with the design features and just bring it to another level. This year, though, they did 4 different decks. Aviary is one that they did as a partnership with Nicholas Matej, a Cleveland-based designer. So it's obviously going to be a bird-themed deck, but let's jump into it and find out how this one compares to some of the bicycle retail designs of the past. All right, it comes in a few different versions. The darker one that you see here, this is the standard one. This is the one you'll find on Bicycle's website. This tan one is actually a Walmart exclusive. So Walmart US is the only place where you can get these tan ones. There's a third version that I don't have, a red version that's exclusive to Walmart Canada. So a few different versions, but we're gonna be taking a look at these 2 versions. And of course, we're gonna start out with the standard one. All right, so it's done on a regular glossy finish tuck case, free of embossing, foiling, any of those extra little perks. And it's done on a black background with kind of a muted color palette throughout. The greens, yellows, and reds that are mixed in here definitely don't have a super bright pop, but have that really faded feel that kind of lends a bit of an antiqued look to the deck overall. You have the classic bicycle banner across the top, Aviary playing cards, name of the deck at the bottom, fairly small. And then the design here is made up mostly of these vines that are crawling all the way around. The center here forms a spade shape, and then that vine work really nicely done, finishing in flowers in all different spots. And then of course you have the birds perched all the way around. I like that it's really done with a symmetrical feel to it overall, so the birds are the same left and right. Really gives a balanced and sort of elegant feel to the deck as a whole. On the sides, you've got air cushion finish made in the USA. Other side, the USPCC. Bottom gives you your ad copy, mostly obviously for the USPCC. And the top just has a little bit of extra design. Underneath the seal here, it's written trusted since 1885, just sort of one of the taglines of Bicycle. And then the back here has a depiction of the back design of the card, so you can get a preview of that. We'll talk about the details of that in a second. And then it is finished out with a standard USPCC black seal. I wish they just leave those off on these custom decks. I think this is just a big clunky distraction, but it's on there pretty much all the time. As you open it up, a little bit more ad copy on that inner flap, just plain black inner flaps here and nothing printed on the inside. So, not a bad job with the tuck case. I think the artwork's great. Some of the other bicycle retail decks like Sea King have incorporated matte finish, embossing, or foiling that I think are nice. But the artwork on this one, despite the fairly simple finish, I think is really nicely done. All right, so that's the tuck case, but let's get into the cards, and we'll start with the back design. And here it is. It does finish out with that black border, so the back of the card is entirely black as opposed to the white faces to the card. And it has that same beautiful design aesthetic that we saw on the tuck case. Lots of vine work kind of forming the bulk of the image. And then this central design kind of resembles a wheel, almost like a bicycle wheel, but I think it's meant to look like a cage, an aviary, a bird cage, almost like you're looking at it from the top down. Obviously, you're going to get your mix of different birds perched in, lots of different birds, from the hummingbirds flying here, these little owl shapes. You got more birds here in the center, perched on the side, all the way through. Really nice feel to it overall. And again, that same symmetrical look, left to right and top to bottom. It's a completely symmetrical design, and I think just a really elegant one. Finishes out in that medium to thick poker border that's only slightly broken up by a couple of little elements, whether it's these tails or these little wheels here on the bottom that just break it up and prevent it from being a hard border around the edge. So that's the back design. Nice design there. You also get a pair of jokers. The penny farthing is something that you'll see on a lot of different bicycle decks. Usually though, it's piloted by a king from the deck. These though, of course, are going to be populated by birds. The bird is just perched there atop of the penny farthing. One of them is done in kind of a black and white feel. It's actually more of a green color and white. So there's the sort of monotone feel version. You get the nice little ornate corner borders here with flowers and little bits of vine work that just add some extra elegance, and then the US logo in the corner. The other Joker now adds a little splash of color, definitely a muted palette, just like everything else in here. So everything has that sort of faded look. The reds are more pink and the yellows are really faded. The greens are really light colors as well. But there's your second Joker. So nice contrast between the two. I do like those. You also get an ad card, beautifully designed ad card. Aviary, you can see Nicholas Matej mentioned down here as the designer, and then the entire background is filled with more of those vines and birds, just like we've seen everywhere else in the deck. And you get a gaff card, you get a double backer as well. I always like getting a gaff card, and double backers are, to me, the best gaff cards out there. All right, now into the main deck. We'll start with the aces. So the ace of spades, like it is on most bicycle decks, is the power ace. Features a large, classically shaped black spade pip there in the center with more vines, flowers, and birds. You got the pair of birds perched in there. And then lots of copy. I wish they cut some of that back, but again, you see that all the time on bicycle decks. So it gives you bicycle Aviary at the top, USPCC, made in the USA, and that serial number at the bottom. And then you get a nice, easily readable black pip and index in the corner. Slight customization to the shape there, but pretty classic look to it overall. The other three aces are also custom. They feature nice large pips, and you can see the customized pips with the ornate details in the middle to give it some extra flair. The red cards aren't your classic red, but are kind of more of this orangish pink color. And the black cards, while the background is black or maybe a dark green, but almost black. And then you get that little lighter green to fill in the middle details that kind of lighten up the whole field. So there's your three aces. I like including the larger spade or the larger pips in the center and giving you the chance to appreciate some of that customization. And those custom pips make an appearance all throughout the number cards within this deck. So the spades here, you'll see those custom pips on the otherwise classically laid out pip structure. And then into the diamonds. So nice, easily readable overall. Nothing too special on these, but just enough to elevate the feel without distracting from the playability of the cards, which I think is what they were going for, and I think they succeeded. There's your clubs and into your hearts. All right, so that's the number cards, but what about the court cards? This is usually where I go first in judging a deck, and the court cards on this are beautiful. They're definitely inspired by your classic bicycle courts. You can see all the hallmarks, but they are fully redesigned. I am a huge fan of that cell shading look on the face. Really gives an interesting dynamic and a really interesting art style that you don't often see. And I really like the color palette that was used. The muted colors with that sort of green, the orangish red, and the yellow. It's a fantastic match that gives this entire court card a really beautiful artistic feel that you don't see many other places. So love the look of these two-way courts. And of course, like I said, they are obviously very classically inspired by the bicycle decks. You'll see a lot of times they're holding the same implements, whether it's like this wand that the Jack of Spades is holding, or the sword in the hand of the King of Spades. And of course, it wouldn't be an Aviary deck without throwing a few birds in there. So you see birds perched there on the shoulder of the Queen and the King. And they'll make appearances throughout some of the other courts as well. So there's your Jack of Diamonds, another little bird there. And there's the classic flower the Queen of Diamonds is often pictured holding. So beautiful design on all of the court cards. I'm a big fan of the color here. Look at that. I love that pattern, the floral pattern on the banner there. Just a really nice feel to these overall. Very unique and yet classic at the same time. So that is the deck. As far as handling, these are on Bicycle's classic stock with their air cushion finish, so they're gonna fan and handle beautifully. This is just what you're used to if you open up any bicycle deck. So if you like the way those handle, these are gonna be no different. Now that is the standard version of the deck. Let's take a quick look at the color swapped version for the US Walmart edition. So it's done more in this tan background. Gives a really nice feel overall. Definitely a nice contrast to the darker one. I like these a lot. Personally, I'm a big fan of this tan version of the tuck. I think it's really well done. And as you open it up, the card faces are the same, but you do get the tan color on the background as well, or on the backs of the cards as well. So while the face is exactly the same, you get a color swap for the back design of the cards. And just like I said with the tuck, I think this is really successful. I like this a lot. The birds don't pop out quite as much as little pops of color. You definitely get a little bit more contrast with the darker card, but I think it's a nice match for the overall feel of the deck. It kind of mirrors that aged feel to it overall. So that's the other version, the Walmart exclusive version. So definitely both worth a pickup, especially at that $4 or $5 price point. And for uses, this is going to be a deck that I recommend anybody open, use for gameplay. You know, it's an inexpensive deck, one that you can easily wear through, go get another one and use it again. So for me, a usable deck, one that you would use for gameplay. I suppose you could use for Magic. And, you know, collectors, I'm sure if you're a bicycle collector, go pick one up, sure. But recommend open it up, you know, break it out of the tuck case and use these for your next poker night. So that's it for now. That's the look at Aviary from Bicycle Playing Cards. Hope you enjoyed. And hey, make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews and unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.